10,000 fearless on the move. 10,000 fearless on the move.
Let's go!
Deep in the delta where the willows grow, in the soil stained by the blood of my ancestors. Punch bowl voices call out to my soul for justice. The wicked will reap what they've sown. Spirit of Aziz is back on the rise. Soldiers in the delta kept it alive. Time to stand up, take our place in the sun. Understand the time and what must be done.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. This is it. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip.
Gotta make a move and take control. Have something we can call our own. So shine your light, help the people see that now is the time for us to be free. And if you waiting on the pie in the sky, you better wake up fast. They told you a lie, cause big fields await the wide awake man. Elijah's got the master.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. Mississippi. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip. Injustice we've had enough. All of our divisions we're breaking up. Destiny has been calling us. The spirit of the Most High is guiding us.
See, the time is now. What you waiting on? Quit shooting your brothers. Put your gun down. Come on. They got a cage waiting for you if you keep that up. Early graves coming to you. From that, can't raise you up. Now, Sister Ida B and Fannie Lou, check them out and you'll know what to do. But if you really want your enemy to be alarmed, read the final call. Follow Farrakhan.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. Mississippi. 10K fearless on the move. Mississippi. Sip. 10K fearless on the move. 10K fearless on the move. 10K fearless on the move. In Mississippi. Mississippi. 10,000 fearless on the move.
Welcome to yet another edition of the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. I am your brother, your friend, and your host, Abdul Shaheed Muhammad. Please allow me to begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I bear witness to the oneness of God, to the oneness of His prophets, and to the oneness of the scriptures that were revealed through them to the whole of humanity. We thank Almighty God, Allah, for all of the prophets and all of the scriptures that were revealed through them. We thank Him for Moses in the Old Testament. We thank Him for Jesus and the gospel, and we certainly thank Him for Muhammad and the Holy Quran. Please allow me to greet you with the greeting words of peace in the Semitic language of all of the prophets of Assalamu alaikum. Those words simply mean, may peace be unto you. We're off and running again, dear brothers and sisters. Certainly glad to be back at the in the chair and back in the studio with the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. It is always our humble and sincere prayer that something will be said to benefit us all, of course, in terms of being given information and something to help guide us through these troubling times. Of course, as you all know, I am a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, so I have a specific lens through which I look and we look at current events, world events, and the state of affairs as it relates to the plight of Black people in America and America as a whole and the world itself in general. And that is a lens, I should say, in truth, that many don't see the necessity to look through, although they will, many will bear witness to the clarity of that lens. And that lens of which I am speaking is the lens of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because we have to bear witness that mainstream media and local news has not, never has been, and doesn't appear that they ever will be very forthcoming as it relates to the critical issues and the truth surrounding those issues and concerns that affect or ill affect us in our daily lives on a local, on a state, and even on a world scale. So tonight we have a very, very, how can I say this? This is a, man, tonight's conversation is going to be with a sister I met actually a couple of years ago. It's a story of tragedy and it's a story of injustice. Happened about 8 years ago. Tonight we will interview our sister Andrea Braxton, whom I met, as I stated, about 2 years ago. She's the mother of Amyia Braxton, who was run over in her front yard in 2016 as she got off her school bus in Pontotoc, Mississippi. No one has been held accountable. Questions we have: did the police, sheriff, or the district attorney and local authorities cover up what could be termed a vehicular homicide to protect one Miss Karen Carpenter? Did they do that? That's a question we want to start looking into, because as I recall talking to my sister 2 years ago and talking to her again recently, she has some information that she wants to bring to bear, and she really, really wants some attention brought to this issue, which I think she deserves. And we are happy to afford her the opportunity to come on our platform to tell her story. So until we get to that part of our program, it's about 7 minutes after. You know, we normally get to our guest right at about 7:30. Of course, we have the farm report coming up at about 7:15. So let me get to the business. Of course, we always start with our axioms to be or to guide us in our conversations as we move forward here on our program. I call them axioms. Axiom is a statement or a proposition which is regarded as being established, accepted, or self-evidently true to serve as a premise or starting point for further reasoning and arguments. That's all an axiom is. So we want to, use that as a base. And this is a truth-driven podcast. We want to be accurate. We want to have our receipts. And if we make a mistake, we certainly are willing to come back and make corrections when we misspeak or not have accurate information. So my mantra here is, if I don't know, then I just tell you, I don't know. I can see if I can go find out. But if I don't know, I won't come with the conjunction, I don't know, but. No, ain't no but. If you don't know, you don't know. We can't find the information for this episode, then we will search and see if we can find and vet that information through reliable sources and bring it to you, that you may be adequately and properly and accurately informed. So let's begin with our first axiom from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where he says to us, quote, "He who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes for you the circumference of your activity." That's a very, very relevant quote, particularly relating to the conversation that I had with Sister Andrea. She's come to realize a few things, and I'm not going to tell you. If she so desires, I'll let her tell you herself when she comes on to the program. And I see y'all getting on too, man. I see you getting on. Thank you all for tuning in, and always supportive. My dear brothers and sisters from the Holly Springs, Mississippi Study Group, as well as many others. I guess we're starting to grow there, Brother Keith. I see you on. The second axiom from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where he gave us a definition of a slave. And it's a very, very, this is a Very accurate definition in my estimation. He said, quote, "A slave is one whose power and authority is ruled over by another and whose sphere of freedom is limited according to the wishes of his master," end quote. That is very, very accurate. Our power and authority is certainly ruled over by someone else, and our sphere of freedom is limited according to the wishes of people who tend to want to lord over us as though they are our masters. I hear a lot of this, particularly in the Delta and the deep Mississippi, the deep South, where people have expressed to me they actually live in fear from local authorities because, I mean, the way they are operating, they are intertwined. The local police is intertwined with the district attorney, who's intertwined with the judge and the coroner and all of the other persons who are responsible for particularly law and the court systems. And as you have seen or may have heard, that the Capitol Police at the passing of legislation by Mississippi state legislators have expanded their power. I mean, effectively making the Jackson Police Department, obsolete. They have authority. They wanted to appoint special judges and special prosecutors, thereby making of none effect or moot the votes that the people cast to vote the people in office who they wanted to take up those responsibilities. That's the kind of thing that's going on in 2024 in Mississippi and in other places throughout the South. So, I'm hearing these stories, and I continue to hear them for the past 5 years, how people are being wronged by local authority. They bring proof. Their loved ones are killed. They're not allowed to see the bodies. I mean, information is withheld. And it irks me to hear people say that there's no racism in America. Yeah, that's because you living okay. You got the creature comforts of life. It's kind of like it's not raining where you are, but it's thunderstorming and hailing where some of our people are. And when they tell you that's what's going on, you tell them, no, it's not. It's sunny outside. It's a beautiful day. Well, that's just not their reality. So our final axiom that I will give to us is also from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I think it's very relevant to a lot of what we see happening today as we hear, the drama going on in the media with some of our celebrities, our brothers and sisters who are celebrities. And it's just drenching the news, drowning out what we really need to be paying attention to. And I'll leave that right there. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said these words, quote, "When you see men fall, don't laugh, learn. Learn because you're on your way up, and the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation, nor from the weakness that will cause us to stumble and fall. When you laugh at somebody else's fall, white or black, rich or poor, your enemy or your friend, you're laughing and opening a way for your own demise when you do that. Because to laugh and not learn, to make a mockery and not to understand, is to make the same mistake yourself." So that's what we're going to start with. Those are our axioms to keep us on track here for tonight's program. So, of course, we're going to take our break and give you our commercial announcements, and we will be right back after these commercial messages.
Shake's famous seasonings, flavors for every occasion. Want to add a touch of authentic flavor to any dish? Searching for a unique range of seasonings that always put great taste on the menu? Welcome to Shake's Famous Seasonings. Whether you're a professional chef, passionate home cook, or a complete beginner in the kitchen, taste and flavor should always be on the menu. It's why Master Chef Rashid Muhammad has combined more than 30 years in the kitchen with a passion for mouth-watering flavors to create a range of seasonings unlike any other. Always gluten-free, so you can enjoy great taste exactly how nature intended. Versatile flavors that work with fresh fish, chicken, or vegetables from the very first bite. Authentic cooking experience that adds something special to any occasion. Versatile seasonings that are perfect for baking, frying, grilling, and plenty of tasting. Ready for real, authentic flavor? When it's time to see just how delicious seasoned foods can be, why wait? With the click of a button, you can have 30 years of passion for food sent direct to your door. Just what you need to add flavors to every occasion and create meals that you'll always want to eat twice.
Place your order at sfseasonings.com. That's sfseasonings.com.
Taste the difference. Taste Supreme. Enjoy our 100% natural Supreme spring water with natural calcium and magnesium, but zero fluoride and zero chloride. Our bottles are BPA free. Order yours today. Call us at 800-573-8033. That's 800-573-8033. Or visit us online at www.supremespringwater.com. Live supreme. Be supreme. Drink supreme. Supreme Spring Water. 801 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30314.
The Urban Indulgence Bath and Body Boutique. At Urban Indulgence, we pride ourselves on offering quality, effective skincare. Handcrafted with plant-based, skin-loving ingredients, our soaps and body butters will give you luxurious lather and ultimate moisture. Experience the Urban Indulgence at 3314 Poplar Avenue in Memphis, 3 blocks west of Poplar Plaza, or shop with us online at theurbanindulgence.com. Theurbanindulgence.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
What's your source for truth in news reporting?
Justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Where do you turn for non-corporate driven news that's fair and balanced?
Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot.
Subscribe to the Final Call News, your #1 free and independent news source that delivers hard-hitting national and international news coverage of today's political, economic, and social issues. To subscribe to local home delivery, call us at area code 662-252-8999. That's 662-252-8999. Visit our website at www.finalcall.com.
10,000 fearless on the move.
And we are back live here at the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. Once again, I am your brother, friend, and host, Abdul Shaheed Muhammad. And we're going to move quickly to the Farm Report. Bringing in our brother William Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, Brother William.
Walaikum salam, sir.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing fine. I'll praise the due to the God. How you doing, Brother Shaheed?
Man, I'm doing the best I can with what I got, brother, trying to stay constant. You know, it's a marathon, Brother William. You know, brother Nipsey Hussle had that right. That's right in line with the scripture. The race ain't to the swift, the battle ain't to the strong. So, brother, just trying to stay on Sirat al-Mustaqim and stay constant. What do you have for us tonight, my brother?
Yes, sir. Pretty much about the same as last week. You know, just waiting to see what comes up on our local farm. Like I said, last week we had planted some squash, zucchini, some carrots, and it was one more green beans. So we got some of the plants coming up. The weather's been kind of pleasant, and we have been getting some rain, so that's a good thing. Yes, sir. And on the state level, supposed to go into the farm, inshallah, this Saturday to see what's our next move. We can't do too much because the ground is still kind of wet. But just trying to see when are we going to be able to plant the rest of that cabbage that we got out.
Yes, sir.
And on the national farm, just waiting to see how the broccoli and the cabbage, rutabaga comes out on that. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Did you get the state? What's going on state level?
Yes, sir. That was about the cabbage, 300 heads of cabbage that we planted last week.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Sitting
sir.
here
So
listening and still missed it.
Yes, sir. We got another 300 to 400 head of cabbage that we're supposed to plant, but we're going to go out there Saturday to see what the ground is looking like. If permissible, we may get a chance to put some down. If not, then just have to wait a little later. Yes, sir.
Well, praise be to Allah. Well, Brother William, man, we are always grateful to be able to have somebody that's willing to pick up that mantle and keep us abreast of what's going on. Brother William, I feel you, brother. Sometimes it's a thankless job, ain't it, brother? You're moving about.
Yes, sir.
You're driving, you're alone, and, but hey, brother, look. God don't start with a whole lot of people to get something of importance done. You notice he don't send 2 or 3 or 4 prophets to a nation. He raised up one man for a whole nation of people. Ain't that something? Just one man. And he'll get that man a helper. He'll give him one helper. But he got to go find him some help.
Yes, sir.
So, brother, we're in the same predicament. Right. Hey, that's what we got to do, brother. I thank Allah for the opportunity, as I always call it, because my life could be quite different, doing something very, very negative or something that's really to the detriment of me. I thank Almighty God Allah, brother. I feel pretty good for a 60-year-old. Some people tell me, bro, you don't look too bad either. I didn't realize you was that old. But hey, brother, thank you once again. Let's give my brother a ride. Brother William sure don't look I ain't gonna tell his age. I'm gonna let him tell that. That brother does not look his age. He's got that Mississippi maintenance on him. He aging real slow. So, my brother, thank you once again. Inshallah, we will talk again next week. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Yes, sir. Alaikum salam, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. As always, we thank our brother William Muhammad, for coming in and giving us the farm report. And in about 8 more minutes, we are expecting our special guest, Sister Andrea Braxton, who is a mother. I mean, man, can you imagine? And I'm not going to let out of the bag really anything concerning her story. I want her to tell it. But once you hear it, brothers and sisters, you're going to go, my God. You think you've heard it all, but in Mississippi, boy, I understand why Nina Simone wrote that song called Mississippi G-D-A-M-N. Mississippi God D-A-M-N. You should go listen at it. And it's very interesting, her lyrics, as she talked about how Mississippi was then. But I tell you, brothers and sisters, it's not as overt as it once was, but the mindset, the mentality, and if the opportunity to presents itself for them to carry out the atrocities that they did openly and wantonly in the early 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s and during slavery, they will do it at the drop of a hat. In fact, there's a Mr. Casson. I might pull up his quote before the night is over to read it to you to understand why it is that to some historians that mentality persists, particularly in the Deep South. So as we go forward, I'm going to give some shout-outs to those that have logged on. I see you, and like I said, Brother Keith, I see you, Sister Marissa. Assalamu alaikum. I see you, Sister Patricia, and some of you all don't have your names by your login. It's just some numbers, letters, I guess because you hadn't created a user ID and a password. But thank you all so much for tuning in to the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. And in about, 6 more minutes, we're going to have Sister Andrea to come on to tell us her story. It's a story that is set in Pontotoc County, or Pontotoc, Mississippi, involving the Pontotoc County Sheriff's Department. Some of you may not even know what Pontotoc, Mississippi is. It involves just a child, She was born in 2008. Her name was Amyia, middle initial A, Braxton. She lived there in Pontotoc, Mississippi. And the circumstances surrounding what happened to her as she got off her school bus on October the 4th of 2016. As a matter of fact, tomorrow is the anniversary, as Miss Braxton shared with me. Tomorrow is the anniversary of this tragic event involving this child. And the event itself is tragic enough, but the local authorities' response to and how it was handled is really appalling, as you will hear when our sister comes on to tell her story. And this is not unlike many of the other instances of local authorities essentially seeing particularly the life of black people as worthless. You know, when you have your Rasheem Carters, you have Keith Perkins, you have our young children. I can't remember the girl's name there in Senatobia. How police handle us, it's just wicked. And they have, you know, very little regard for the life of black people. So our sister, I see her coming in. So we're going to go ahead and invite her in. She's ready to come before us. Now let's welcome her with a nice round of applause. Sister Andrea, assalamu alaikum, or peace be unto you.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, sister, I'm doing well. And yourself? How's your family? Everybody okay?
Yes, everybody's doing good. Today, my son got accepted into college and
Great.
his birthday. He turned 18. So yay.
Oh, that was Amya's younger brother or older brother?
That was her older brother. His
Oh.
birthday is today, and unfortunately, she
Wow.
passed away the next day.
Wow. Let's give him a round of applause for getting accepted into college. So some good things are happening. We got to be thankful, you know, for what God is blessing with us in the here and the now. Sister, first of all, let me extend my thanks and gratitude for accepting the invitation to come onto our platform. It is certainly, we're happy to give you a platform to tell your story, sister, a story that I think should be national news. Many of these many of the things that are happening to us as black people at the hands of local authorities, oftentimes it never really sees the light of day. But with modern technology and a bit of unity and a bit of compassion, brother to sister, we should offer whenever we can, if we have the ways and means to make it happen, give a platform that some light may be shown on these kinds of incidents and tragedies. So start out, Sister Andrea. Introduce yourself and however you see fit at any length you desire to our listening audience so they may know who you are.
Okay. My name is Andrea Braxton. I'm married to Mr. Charles Braxton. We've been married for 20 plus years. I am the mother of 4 children. One is deceased. And I sell insurance. I'm a motivational speaker. I like to encourage my community. I like to be an advocate. And I like to give voices to people who are not able to give voices for themselves. That's my passion. I love history and I love talking about the government and all that stuff. So I'm very well rounded. I didn't come from the best of circumstances. I've had a very hard life, as many people have, but I'm here to fight, and I'm here to fight till the end. I'm a fighter. I'm never going to give up on the fight for Amyia, and I'm just going to keep on going.
Great. Absolutely wonderful. You made me think of a quote from our teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, about history. When you said you like history, he said history is best qualified and most attractive to reward our research. He said history is above all of our studies. In fact, Marcus Garvey says something similar when he said, one who does not know their history is like a tree without roots. So certainly, sister, and let me extend my condolences. I know it's been 8 years, but still my condolences on the loss of Amyia. Could you take us, and let's begin, let's give this a really good backdrop for the audience so they can get a good picture of what it is that you are about to present. If you could take us back 8 years ago to the day of the incident, and I know It's going to probably evoke a few emotions, but to the degree that you are willing or can, take us back 8 years to the day of this incident and give our listeners a clear picture of what happened to Amyia.
So it was October the 4th, 2016. It was like no other day. I mean, well, it's been the same day. Like nothing new or different had changed that day. I normally get up. I normally fix breakfast. I get them ready for school. I would take her brother to daycare. But on that particular day, though, we were struggling really bad. I was selling insurance at the time. Husband was in school to be a barber. He was working, and he had left, or he was in the back. And I was trying to find some rubber bands for her hair, and I couldn't find any. So I remember telling her, "I'm gonna put you up just some simple plaits right now." I said, "I know you ain't gonna like it." I said, "But when you get home from school today, I'm gonna fix your hair real pretty." And she said, "Oh, Mom, it's okay." Amaya was not a prissy girl, I guess. I'm like, she was a girl, but fine clothes and fine shoes and the finest things. I didn't raise my children to indulge in the finest of name brands and stuff like that. I've always brought them up to be appreciative of what you have, understand that things cost money, and I've always tried to teach them to be grateful for what you do have, because there's always people that have less than what you have. So she was very okay with her hairdo. I kissed her, I hugged her, and I told her I love you. And unfortunately, she went to school that day. I had a couple of cases that I was working on at home, so I had made some arrangements for my husband to pick the kids up from daycare. And that was, and that was it. So I go home, I go to sleep. I'm very transparent. I know what you guys believe in as far as, alcohol and stuff like that. And I
Yes, ma'am.
respect everybody's opinion. But on that particular day, I said, well, you know what? I said, I'm going to sit here. My husband's going to pick the kids up, or he's going to pick up the baby boy. They're going to get off the bus. I'm going to set my alarm clock for 4:30, because I always hear them when they come in the house. I leave the door unlocked. We never leave our children unsupervised. She's getting off to come straight into the house. So there's no reason for me to be standing out there. As a parent, you think that the school bus is the safest place for your kids.
Right.
You had rather for your children to be in an accident on a school bus than you would for them to be in car, because the seats and everything inside of the school bus is safety. So you would think that your children is safe during that time. So nevertheless, I did what I was going to do for the day. I lay down. I was prepared to hear them come in. Um, and by about 4:30, my phone started ringing constantly. I mean, it was ringing constantly, 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 constantly. And I was like, what is going on? Like, who keeps calling me this many times? And I really, at first, it's like, it's hard to explain, but it was almost like something supernatural, but something just like I was shielded for something that I didn't need to see in my front yard. I remember laying there as my phone is ringing, and it feel like somebody is literally sitting on my chest. It's like I cannot move. I can't answer the phone. I can't do anything. So I just want to clear up a rumor, because people were saying, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't have been drinking and you should be outside with your children and you should have been waiting for them to get off the bus. And I had to fight that within myself. And I also had to realize that people sometimes talk and they really don't know what they're talking about. And it took me a long time to get over that, because that was the rumor that they had on me. Oh, well, she should have been out
Wow.
there. Her child was playing in the street. But
Wow.
nevertheless, so I finally get up, and it's my husband, and he's kind of calm, but he's kind of panicking too. And he said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm at home." He said, "People are telling me that Amaya got hit by a car." And then I said, "Charles, it's only like 2 o'clock." Because I didn't realize it was 4:30 until I actually looked at the clock.
Right.
So, and I knew she had a field trip, but it wasn't until a couple of days later. So I'm like, okay, she ain't got no field trip. She ain't been dropped off nowhere. It's not time for school to be out. What are you talking about?
Right.
And then he tells me, he said, it's 4:30. And he said, will you just go and see what's going on? He said, because I think he had a client in his chair at the time because
Yes,
he was
ma'am.
cutting hair. And then he had to go and pick up our baby from the daycare and then come home.
Mhm.
So I opened up the blinds. And when I opened up the blinds, I saw nothing but like fire trucks. I saw ambulances. I saw the road it just looked like something that you would see in New York or something you would see on TV.
Right.
That's how that crime scene was.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I opened up the door and people are screaming, there's her mother, there's her mother. And I see a vehicle in my yard that's half flipped over, but it's like I went to like turn and look at it, but something was like, you don't have any time to look at that. And this man ran up to me and told me that there had been an accident with Amyia. And so I asked him where she was and where my son was, because her brother was on the bus with her.
Right.
And so they opened the door and let my son out. And he said, Mama, he said, they will not let me come in the house to get you.
Wow. Why
And
not?
the neighbor said, oh, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead.
No, I just thought to myself out loud, why not? I mean, that would be he's.
Yeah.
But go ahead, sister. I'm sorry.
So he's telling everybody my mom's in the house. And so I have neighbors, and the neighbors were saying, hey, she's in the house. And they said she never leaves these kids by themselves. Like my kids were not even allowed to go out and play in the yard without an adult sitting out on the step watching them. Because we stayed on a busy highway before they put the new highway on the other side of it that was a 4-lane. So you have big trucks coming through there. You have a lot of people coming through there. So my kids were not outside. So I finally get to see him, and it is a little blood and dirt on his shirt, but I can't understand where it came from at that time. So I was able to leave him with a neighbor because I didn't want to take him to the hospital. And then I'm looking for Amyia, and they had already put her in the ambulance, and they told me that they were going to leave and that they had dispatched a helicopter, but they decided that there would be no need for a helicopter at that time, that she had already probably passed. And so they just told the helicopter to go back. And then I go to the hospital. My husband meet me at the hospital. And that's where we found out that she didn't make it.
You know, sister, I listened that stuck with me, this rumor that you should not have been drinking and all of this kind of thing. You know, sister, it's really sad how when tragedy strikes us, particularly black people, media in particular try to make us responsible for our own death, even though it's obvious we're not responsible. We can get shot down by the police. I remember an instance in West Memphis, Arkansas, a young child, 12-year-old boy named Deontay Farrell, got shot down by the police. He was right in front of his residence playing. They said he had a toy gun. Some say he didn't. Some said the gun wasn't there at the beginning of the scene. There's a lot of rumor out there. The officer that did the shooting resigned and moved out. But listen to what the black people in the community were saying. Well, what was he doing outside at night? I mean, So what does that have to do with anything? You know, if a child can't be safe from being run over in her front yard, which is, I understand this is where this happened. But how old was Amyia at the time?
Amyia was 7 and 8 days from that date. She would have been 8.
7-year-old. Wow. So the witnesses, were there any witnesses? Did anyone, come to you and tell you what happened at the scene, at the time of the accident?
So,
if you want to call
the only
it.
person that really spoke to me at the scene was the school superintendent. Of course, he had to be called because a bus was involved in it, which I understood that later. But he was a gentleman that came up to me, and I just remember he kept trying to hand me her backpack with blood and everything on it. I remember that. As I'm trying to get into the ambulance, he's trying to hand me her backpack. And I kept saying, I remember saying, I don't want the backpack. Just sit the backpack down. And he just kept following me with the backpack.
Mm.
And I just told him I didn't want the backpack. Well, at that time, I didn't want the backpack. So nobody came, and he was the only one. At the hospital, I saw some of it on the news. They didn't release her name or anything, so everybody is at the hospital being seen, and her story pops up on the news. So they don't release any information, of course. The police is not at the hospital with us. The district attorney, of course, is not at the hospital with us. We didn't know anything until the next day, and we waited until the sheriff department opened. Me and my husband, we went and we spoke to the sheriff the
Yes,
next
ma'am.
day.
Wow. Now, the local authorities, this is the next day. How cooperative or sensitive were the local authorities to the loss of your child? How did they handle you guys?
Now, far as the sheriff, Leo Mass, because he's still the sheriff, he was the sheriff at the time. Him and Officer Vandiver, they seemed at first to be very genuine. They would answer our questions only so far, though. They really played us from the start. I feel like that was the whole reason why they wouldn't let my son come out and get me to let me know what had happened. Because they had to formulate their story. They had to get everything together and try to get her on away from us as quick as they could. The reason why I say that, if you're ready for me to go to the next part.
Well, that was another question. I mean, you've answered the question because, as you told me, they wouldn't let your son. The only reason they would not allow him to come to the house would be because you know how children are. They're going to immediately say if they saw something, especially something that's of that magnitude, they're going to tell mom and dad immediately. And, children, they're unfiltered. They're going to tell it just like they saw it, They're not going to hold back anything. And I have reason to believe that that was one thing they did not want the child to come and tell you. Now, I think that the audience needs to hear this part. Where exactly did this accident take place? And where was Amyia getting off the bus?
So this happened on Highway 9 between Belden and Sherman. It happened right there. The bus pulled up. It was at a complete stop. And Amyia had stepped off, and she was waiting on her brother to step off. He dropped a ball. Actually, what held him up from getting off the bus, he dropped a ball, and he was trying to chase his ball before he got off the bus. So she was standing there, and he was getting ready to get off. And he said when he touched the first step, he heard something coming fast, like wind. And he said it was like it was roaring. He just heard it. And so he said he just paused for a second, and about time, and he looked at his bus driver, and about time he turned back around, Amyia was gone.
Now, where on the street was Amyia? Was she in the street? Where was she? I mean, where was she in proximity to your residence or your property?
Amyia was about 15 steps, maybe 20 steps from her front door.
20. So she was essentially in her driveway? Was she in her own yard or her driveway?
Yes, she had stepped off into our driveway, yes. So she wasn't in the street at all. She was in the driveway.
So she was not in the street at all. So now I'm picturing this to the audience. It sounds like, and I've read some of this from a couple of years ago, and I got some new information. From the reports, Amyia, when a bus driver let children off the bus, they let them off curbside. They don't let them off street side. So this car came over on the right side. Actually, it was an SUV. It was a Mercury Mountaineer. This SUV came over on the right side where the children, disembarked from the bus and struck Amyia. So she was off the road. She was not on the road. Am I correct?
Correct.
And not only was she not on the road, her car had to end up in your yard. Am I correct?
Hmm. Correct. It was flipped over. It had flipped over a big old industrial garbage bin.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. So now go to the next part that you were referring to that you said, hopefully I'm ready for, or if I was ready for.
Okay, so this goes back to how they treated us
Yes, ma'am.
because I
Please.
need to make sure that people really understand that I'm not just a bitter, angry mom who thinks that everybody needs to pay. I just want to paint this picture. So what they were actually doing was out there, they was actually fabricating her crime scene.
What?
Yes. So they fabricated her crime scene. If you were able to look at the documents that I sent you a diagram that has 3,700 some thousand people have looked at this diagram. So if you look at the police report, you will see how they have the bus, how they have Amyia, and how they have the car.
Yes, I
They
see it.
have Amyia crossing the street. They have the bus in, well, I'm sorry, they have Amyia crossing the street. They have the car in front of the bus and the bus behind the car
Mm-hmm.
on opposite ends.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a that's not how that happened.
That's exactly not how it happened. I'm looking at the diagram as we speak. That diagram does not fit the narrative.
It does not.
So, this begs the question, the driver of the Mercury Mountaineer SUV, who is she and who is she connected to? Because why would they fabricate this? I mean, unless they had something to hide or someone to protect.
Only thing I know is her name is Karen Michelle Carpenter. I have not. They have did so well with hiding her identity. Um, Somebody hired her coworker to take a picture of her at work just so I can see what she looked like. The police department, the district attorney's office, did not release any photos of her, for my recollection. They really didn't talk about her at all in the media. When you hear Karen Carpenter's name, you hear from people who follow Amaya, you hear from me, her spokesperson, the people that try to help us get justice. They talk about Karen Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else talks about Karen Carpenter. We have no idea who she is, but she has been protected from the district attorney's office, the sheriff's department, the highway patrol station. Everybody has protected her. For whatever reason, I can't get any information
Mm-hmm.
about any relationship that she may have with anybody because the information that the district attorney gave us from his desk when we demanded paperwork after 2 years. And that's something that I would just like to say too, so people can really get an understanding of what they did to us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was well, when this first happened with Amaya,
Yes, ma'am.
I tried to call the district attorney. I was trying to figure out who's on the case. I want to help. I want to be informed. I made about 20 something calls to the district attorney's office and nobody called me back. Nobody would respond. Nobody would give me any information about the case. It was after a year before I even got a meeting with the district attorney and the assistant district attorney after the first no true bill.
No true bill. So, in other words, what? How was she sanctioned, if she was sanctioned at all? Was she given a traffic ticket? Was she drunk? Did she fall asleep? I mean, was she charged? What happened?
So on the police report, I don't know if you got a chance to view that or not, but by
Yes, I
her own
did.
admission, she admits that she may have dozed off.
Yes, I know. She admitted that in the narrative, in her statement, that she
Yes.
dozed off. But did she get a ticket or anything?
No. So she never have served a day in jail. She did not get a ticket because if they gave her a ticket, they would have had to arrest her, because by her breaking the law, she committed murder. So if they would have gave her a ticket, they would have had to go ahead and arrest her and charge her because she committed a crime. And I feel like that's why they didn't even get her a ticket for running the stop sign on the bus.
This is 2024, black people. And we are busy self-destructing, self-rejecting, arguing and fighting amongst ourselves, glorying in the fall of one another. Meanwhile, this kind of thing is going on even where our babies are concerned. The life of a 7-year-old child means nothing to this. Well, let me calm down, sister. This kind of stuff, kind of gets me going. But see, until we as black folk understand that we don't have the luxury of being disunited along any lines, whether if we disagree philosophically, politically, socially, religiously, even on music taste, that does not justify us not seeing one another as brother and sister and having enough self-respect as black folk to understand that even though I don't agree with that person, that brother, that sister is not my enemy, and I should not shun them. But there are those amongst our people, Sister Andrea, that are foolish enough to believe that that kind of behavior among us is okay. And that's why it's easy for us to be treated this way, because they understand Negroes are disunited, and it's easy to pick them off by the ones and twos, because no one, if anyone, is going to come to their defense. And those that do come to their defense are going to be few and far in between, especially in the Deep South. So I'm sorry, I had to get that out, because, you mean to tell me this woman drove on the opposite side of a school bus where the children disembarked, ran over a child, killed the child, didn't get as much as a traffic ticket?
That's what I'm telling you. Absolutely.
Now, I read the witnesses. There are 2 witness accounts I read. Both witnesses said the bus was stopped. The arm was down, the arm that they let down to hold up traffic, and the stop sign with the flashing red lights. Both witnesses said that the bus was stopped and the arm was down and the red lights on the stop sign was flashing. And afterwards, they saw a car approaching at a high rate of speed. Now, how fast was the car going, Sister Andrea?
So it took me a while to really get what they were trying to do, because on her statement, you see where they coached her. And if you pay attention to her wording, you can tell that she was coached into saying exactly how she responded in her statement, because she said that she was only going 55, right? So either she knew that she was going too fast, because the speed on that highway was 55 and they may give you 5 miles over. So I know that they coached her with that statement. You could tell how it's written. So she had to write that, she had to say that, and then she had to try to say something to make it seem like, oh, well, she wasn't herself. And she messed around and said she may have been sleeping. So I'm going to just leave that there for right now. I'm going to table that right there for a second. So I'm sorry, I'm getting worked up now.
It's so okay. You got every right.
I'm trying to keep it together, because this right here is a touching subject to me. So I just want to make sure that I give all the information. So can you please repeat that question to me one more time? Because I got off a little bit.
I asked, how fast was she going? You said that she said that she was going 55.
Yes. So when I finally got the black box back, which they took the black box out, and the sheriff and the district attorney told us that Karen Carpenter was not speeding, but that right there is before I had the paperwork. So if you look at the one that I showed you where they tried to copy it with a post-it over it, you see that little square, they tried to copy that.
Yes, I see.
But I got a copy of it, and it says, if you look at it, it says she was going 76 miles an hour.
Wow. So now I'm in law enforcement. Now, if the speed limit is 55, she was going 76. That's 21 miles over the limit. Okay? That is very close to reckless driving. I know once you're 26 miles over the limit, that's considered reckless driving, whether you run into something or not. Okay? But it can be considered reckless driving. One, she alludes to the fact that she may have dozed off. Secondly, she drove off the road on the right-hand side of a school bus that was clearly stopped. Clearly, all of its emergency equipment was working, according to 2 witnesses at least. So they are covering up a vehicular homicide. What it sounds like. Because why would you, and I'm looking at the Post-it note where they got it covered up, but you got a copy. You got a actual hard copy where the Post-it note is not there. And it says, according to the black box, she was traveling 76 miles an hour.
Yes, 76.009.
Exactly how fast she was going. So that came from the black box. And I'm looking at this, Bosch is the people that did the crash data retrieval. It's what it's called. I'm looking at it. And they cover that up with a square-looking Post-it note on the copy, but your hard copy actually shows the information that they were trying to conceal. Wow. So, sister, now, we're at this point. It's clear that something's amiss. They're hiding this woman. I understand that she moved out of town at some point and stayed gone for a good little while, from what I understand. Who got involved to assist you, or who did you enlist to assist you, and at what point did you realize you needed to be? First, let's word it this way. At what point did you realize they were stonewalling you and you needed to go get help?
I realized they were stonewalling me when I asked for simple documents and I could never get them. We would just ask, I even made it to Senator Nikki Browning. I called him on his cell phone. Somebody gave me his number. And one of his things was, well, what do you want me to do about this, Miss Braxton? And I said, I want you to make sure that the law is upheld. I'm not asking you guys. I'm not out for blood. If I would have had my day in court, or if it would have made it past a grand jury and a judge said it was an accident, I could have lived with that because it went through the due process, even though I would have knew it was because of her skin color. And that's just the truth. It's because of her skin color.
That's correct.
I could have lived with that. But I realized they were stonewalling me when I could never get documents. No matter how many requests that I asked for, no matter how many times that we went to the courthouse and sit up there. There was days that we went up there and we just sit at the courthouse and just was waiting for somebody to talk to. The sheriff had told us that he was going to allow us to be a witness in front of the grand jury. So we got dressed, we went up there, and we just wanted to speak to them. Well, the DA decided that I was not allowed to come in there and speak to the grand jury as a sympathetic witness. They would not allow her 10-year-old brother to speak to the grand jury. It was very secretive, and they just would never respond to any of our requests. We did multiple news reports, multiple interviews. I did so many. It's been a lot. And I realized that they were not going to help Amyia at all. I just finally realized they're not going to help her at all when I found out how the DA presented the case, which I can hold off if you got something else you want to say before we get into the judge and the district attorney. But I knew that they were not going to give her justice when they wouldn't even let me speak to the grand jury as her mom and plead that they give her justice. I knew then. I held on to faith, of course, for a little while, and I did what modern people do.
Right.
I pray and I wail. And I'm just waiting. But I just realized that they're not going to give Amyia justice. I have to go and I have to make it happen.
Yes, ma'am. And that was going to be my next question. I didn't necessarily want to say anything. The judge and the district attorney. How did you, I don't want to ask I know how you felt. What I don't know, I can imagine I can only imagine how you felt at this point. But what were their actions once you realized they realized you knew you were being stonewalled? I'm sure at some point they realized she knows we're putting her off. Did they become more and more hostile or just more and more evasive?
Both of them. They became to be invasive toward us. They began to be a little hostile. And then the district attorney would always play it off as, I'm just a hurt mother. It's a fortunate accident. And he has maintained, the DA out of his own mouth, from the time that this happened with Amyia, he the one put out there that it was an accident. The district attorney decided that he wanted to write his own law. And he said that we needed to prove intent, that she intended to kill Amyia, is what he said we had to prove. We also was told that we had to go and get our own witnesses if we wanted a shot at the case. So when I tell you that they made me be a police officer, they made me go out and track down my own witnesses and had to get statements from people that actually gave us statements, but then they felt like maybe they didn't need to be involved with it for whatever reasons. And people were beginning to be like, well, I saw what happened, but I'm not going to say anything, or I don't want to get in it. And this right here is people that we've already talked to that was willing to help. All of a sudden they begin not to want to really be involved with it for whatever reason. One guy, the one who actually saw it, who was on his porch smoking a cigarette, he said that he saw that car coming real fast, and he said, she's not going to stop, is she? And he said that he just kept on looking, and he said before he knew it, he had saw everything. He ran in the house, and he the one got the blanket for Amyia so they can cover her up because of how her body was. And it messed him up so bad, he lost his job, and he's still in counseling right now. That's how bad that the body was. That's how bad the damage was. That's how atrocious that everything was. So they have no plan on, at this point. The district attorney said that the case is closed to him. There's nothing else that, he don't want to spend any more time on it. He's been very clear about that. But the judge, this right here is kind of where we are. So if you see the report that I sent you,
Yes, ma'am.
you'll see where they have something for 2017.
Let me see if I can.
They have a whole separate police file that I was able to get my hands on that came directly from them. They have Amyia dying on October the 4th, 2017. They have a toxicology report from 2017, and it was their first request according to that paper. So what they tried to do was they got a judge to sign off on a toxicology report for 2017.
My God, that's wicked.
It is.
That is just absolute, and I'm looking at it. This is absolutely wicked. So a year later, they want to produce this toxicology report, and everything on the report is negative, negative, negative. So what it sounds like, they never did a toxicology or a blood draw on the day of the accident. Is that accurate?
Correct. That's what I'm getting from it, because when I
It says
asked
June
for that,
20th.
they were saying that they can't give me that information because that would violate her HIPAA. But I also let them know, well, if that violated her HIPAA, wouldn't the one that you did in 2017, about 8 or 9 months later, don't that violate that same HIPAA?
Because this says it's 2017. I'm not going to give you all the exact date. I don't want to put all your data out there. But this is ridiculous, sister. And there are signatures. Forensic scientists signed off on it.
A judge signed off on it.
The judge signed off on it. This is, and see, brothers and sisters, see, we huddle in the corner cowering. And we use religion and God to cover our cowardice and being a punk. Meanwhile, these people run roughshod over us. And no one is willing to stand up and hold people accountable. But I get sick of listening at people want to put their mouth on the warriors among our people, like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who's willing to stand and defend black folk. But it is black folk that put their mouth on a brother like him, who has done nothing but good for black people. And it really bothers me that some of these Negroes can open their mealy mouth against a brother that has done nothing, for the most part, all of his life, but try to defend and advocate for black people. And there's always one of us can find some negative to say, but we're not willing to lift our voice, lend our resources or anything to help sisters like yourself, you know. And it's only until it happens to them personally, they want everybody to come to the party. But I see this, sister. This is, you know, May and June of 2017, some of these documents.
Mm-hmm.
And this happened October of 2014. I'm sorry, 2016. I'm sorry, 2016. Mm-hmm. October 4th, as a matter of fact, 2016. Mm-hmm. So, so this district attorney, what is he doing now?
So the district attorney now, I just found out, is he's going to be sworn in as circuit clerk judge or justice court judge in the Lee County, Pontotoc area on October the 14th.
So he gets a promotion.
Yeah, he gets a promotion.
So black folk in Lee County. Lee County is in, that's Pontotoc. What's Tupelo? That's Tate County, isn't it?
That's Lee County.
No, Lee County. Tupelo is Lee County, right?
Correct.
And they're building a new jail down there, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's where my good brother and friend, Brother Charles Moore, who's the president of the NAACP there. Do you know that, brother?
I'm not necessarily sure. I may have heard of a lot of them. I did speak with some of the NAACP, but I think that was under Mr. Hamilton. When I think he was running it. I think his name was Mr. Hamilton. And one thing that really shied a lot of people away was we didn't have any paperwork. And because they styled me so long with the paperwork, it was kind of like hearsay, and she's just an emotional person. You know, nobody would really take me serious because I didn't have the paperwork. I mean, I even talked to Rashad Ritchie. I talked to Benjamin Crump. I talked to a lot of the big so-called names of people, and they was like, when they told me that there was nothing that I could do about it because the district attorney has immunity, I told them, I said, I wouldn't let you represent me if you told me you would want it, because you already scared of him. I'm not afraid of him. Let me tell you what I did.
Yes,
something else that I did purposely. So Sadie Gardner was the assistant district attorney who did a lot of Amyia's case. She was running for judge at a point in time. And I remember people did petitions for Amyia. And I was trying to hand her the petition, and she was on the phone. And the way she looked at me, it was like, I don't want you. I'm not going to help you. She pretty much just told me the way she looked at me. And so I said, well, since you're ignoring me right now, I said, you're going to understand exactly what you just did in a couple of weeks. So she let everybody know that she was running for judge, and she had a sign that was posted up by a bank close to my job. So I took my cell phone and I had somebody to stand there, and I walked in front of her sign and I told people why I felt like she should not be judged. And 12,000 people voted for the other man that night. She did not win judge that day, believe me. And they still let her handle Amyia's case. And I told them, y'all cannot let her handle Amyia's case at this point, because this is conflict of interest at this point. I just caused this woman her career. I want it out of Mississippi, and I want my own private counsel. I asked them, we did several interviews asking them to not represent us any longer. Let us find our own lawyer, give us a special prosecutor to take the case out of Mississippi because she would not get a fair trial. And the district attorney told me, no, I cannot have my own attorney, that they had to be the one to represent the case.
Well, how can, so they want you to get your own witnesses, but they don't want you to get your own attorney.
Correct.
Lord, but now you have documentation of their misdeeds. What steps can be taken? And we're at the point, I've gone past this. I was supposed to take a break at 8 o'clock, but I'm so engrossed in what you're saying. But tell you what, hold that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and follow the program the way I should. We're going to take a quick break, brothers and sisters. Stand by. This is really intriguing, and it's really sad, and it definitely fits the title of the program, Tragedy and Injustice in Pontotoc, Mississippi. We'll be right back. Stand by.
Chilling in the studio, taking over the world. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. I come in peace, I don't mean you no harm. I say assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. I come in peace, I don't mean you know, I don't mean you know. See, I come in peace, and nobody I am hurting, except my enemies, but for my brothers I am working. Cause the powers that be wanna see this why they're lurking. We're both making our peace, but different food we are serving. See, mine is for the
Shake's famous seasonings, flavors for every occasion. Want to add a touch of authentic flavor to any dish? Searching for a unique range of seasonings that always put great taste on the menu? Welcome to Shake's Famous Seasonings. Whether you're a professional chef, passionate home cook, or a complete beginner in the kitchen, taste and flavor should always be on the menu. It's why Master Chef Rashid Muhammad has combined more than 30 years in the kitchen with a passion for mouth-watering flavors to create a range of seasonings unlike any other. Always gluten-free, so you can enjoy great taste exactly how nature intended. Versatile flavors that work with fresh fish, chicken, or vegetables from the very first bite. Authentic cooking experience that adds something special to any occasion. Versatile seasonings that are perfect for baking, frying, grilling, and plenty of tasting. Ready for real, authentic flavor? When it's time to see just how delicious seasoned foods can be, why wait? With the click of a button, you can have 30 years of passion for food sent direct to your door. Just what you need to add flavors to every occasion and create meals that you'll always want to eat twice.
Place your order at sfseasonings.com. That's sfseasonings.com.
Taste the difference. Taste supreme. Enjoy our 100% natural Supreme Spring Water with natural calcium and magnesium, but zero fluoride and zero chloride. Our bottles are BPA free. Order yours today. Call us at 800-573-8033. That's 800-573-8033. Or visit us online at www.supremespringwater.com. Live supreme. Be supreme. Drink supreme. Supreme Spring Water, 801 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30314.
The Urban Indulgence Bath and Body Boutique. At Urban Indulgence, we pride ourselves on offering quality, effective skincare. Handcrafted with plant-based, skin-loving ingredients, our soaps and body butters will give you luxurious lather and ultimate moisture. Experience the Urban Indulgence at 3314 Poplar Avenue in Memphis, 3 blocks west of Poplar Plaza, or shop with us online at theurbanindulgence.com. Theurbanindulgence.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
What's your source for truth in news reports?
Justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Where do you turn for non-corporate driven news that's fair and balanced? Subscribe to the Final Call News, your number one free and independent news source that delivers hard-hitting national and international news coverage of today's political, economic, and social issues. To subscribe to local home delivery, call us at area code 662-252-8999. That's 662-252-8999. Visit our website at www.finalcall.com.
10,000 fearless on the move.
And we're back live here at the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. Once again, I am your brother, your host, and your friend Abdul Shaheed Muhammad. We are with our sister Andrea Braxton of, well, now I'm not going to tell where she lives. That's her business. I don't even think I should. No, nobody needs to know that unless she wants you to know. But she's a former resident of Pontotoc, Mississippi, and she has had to endure the unthinkable. For most mothers, any parent, mother or father, she's had to endure the unthinkable. Not only did she lose her child, she had to deal with people who are corrupt in their thinking and are wicked in their mental and spiritual disposition. Sister Andrea, you still there, ma'am?
I am here.
Okay. Once again, sister, thank you for accepting the invitation and coming, telling us your story. I'm going to try to get this to our sister. I think she's in Greenwood, Mississippi. This needs to be news, and hopefully we can get it printed in the Final Call newspaper. But sister, you were telling us about some people that got involved. The governor, I can't remember who you said, or the title of the person. He asked you, well, what do you want him to do? Who else got involved in terms of trying to help you once you realized you were being stonewalled? You were being roadblocks being thrown in front of you at every turn. You had to deal with someone that was running for judge who was mishandling you, wouldn't allow you to get your own representation. Who else did you enlist or came to your aid?
So I had the pleasure of Mr. Jesse Jackson from the Rainbow Push Coalition. We had enough press. We had enough people making phone calls, and he called me one day on my lunch break when I was at Wendy's, and he asked me would I come out to Chicago and share my story at the Rainbow Push. And so I made it up there and I did that. And it was supposed to be that they were supposed to come down and come up with some plans and everything. But when people saw me on the stage at the Rainbow Push, it's like by the time I made it back home, the people that was telling me that they had my back, they began to turn on us because they said that it's going to be rioting and that people were going to hurt us and people were going to get hurt. So I began to get subliminal messages from people that would come in and pay their payment. And they were telling me, your name, your family's name is in the air. And they told me, they said, these white people trying to figure out where you live at because they want to leave things the way that they are. And you guys need to get out. Several people had came and told me that, said they looking for you, sister. You still come to work every day. So by this time, I began to be paranoid a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
And I began to, at nighttime, I remember I would get up and I would be up checking on my kids before I would crank my car up in the morning, take my kids to school. I'm looking up under my car, and this right here is real life, just to see if there's bombs. I'm asking my son if anybody came to school talking to him. Is he being bullied by any kids? Is anybody giving him any messages? I mean, it became to be a nightmare. So what the Rainbow Push Coalition did was Mr. Jesse Jackson, he cut us a check and he helped us move to Atlanta for 2 years. I will always be grateful for that because I felt like my life was in danger. I felt like my kids' life was in danger. I feel like my husband's life was in danger, especially when the sheriff began to offer him jobs at the jailhouse at night. The sheriff had a restaurant that he does on Saturdays and Sundays. And so he was like, well, y'all just come to the restaurant, and y'all can get whatever you want on me. So we thinking that's really nice, okay, he's on our side, he's letting us come here. And to be honest, I can't even lie, because we hadn't worked because of grief and because everything was just happening and it was terrible. We needed that food. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for real, we needed that food. So I'm not going to say that, I was grateful for it,
Right.
because it was really hard for us. Me not working, him not working, trying to take care of kids, trying to do press. But I noticed that the judge that was running against Sadie Gardner, he introduced me to that man and told me that I need to talk to that man. So I was like, wow. So he's trying to use me in my case to swing votes for this other man. So I put a post out. I don't care if a frog is running against Sadie Gardner. I'm gonna vote for the frog. you
Okay.
know,
Yes,
kind
ma'am.
of. And so I just really, so Jesse Jackson helped us. I had some great people that I met along the way. Mr. Johnny Savory, his story is phenomenal. He was in prison when he was 14 for a double murder that he didn't commit. So he was able to come in and help with a lot of things and help me get to Chicago and everything. But as far as anybody that's saying that I'm going to help you defend this case, I have not been able to really find anybody that has grit, that somebody that wants to have justice for Maya, somebody that's not afraid of the district attorney, who don't believe that they have immunity. I have told so many lawyers, there is no immunity against fraud. I don't care what you say. And contaminating a police report and doctoring up blood tests and stuff, that's fraud.
Yes.
We can fight this forever if we want to.
So you now having the documentation in your hand, let me make sure I understand. At the time that you talked to people like Ben Crump and the Rainbow Push Coalition with Reverend Jesse Jackson, did you have in your hand what you shared with me at that time, or you're just recently getting it?
I just had it for 2 years, so no, I did not have it at that time. So I didn't have any paperwork, because they wouldn't even give any paperwork. They wouldn't send us anything. But the thing that what I wanted them to understand is, you're lawyers, you can get the paperwork. If somebody would have stood up and actually helped and actually believed me and actually tried to help us, instead of, to me, Benjamin Crump was only, and I'm just being honest, and I'm not trying to put him down, because, I believe in supporting people. But when he asked about the car insurance, that was the main thing. He wanted to get from her car insurance. And I was telling him, there's a really big problem here that's worth way more than her car insurance. I can assure you, there's a lot of information that they won't let me have. But I promise you, once you send for the discovery in this case, you're going to have every piece of document that you need. And we won't even have to worry about the insurance money, because that's what he was after, to be honest. And a lot of these lawyers that we fancy so much, they like the insurance money. They like the easy cases. I haven't found really anybody with enough grit that says, I'm going to take it. I'll do it. So that's what I'm looking for. Somebody with some grit who wants to see justice. And I'm going to tell you this right here, because I don't know how much time we have.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
18 months later, after Maya got killed, getting off her bus, there was a little boy from Baldwin, Mississippi. His name was Dalen Thomas. He was hit and killed getting on his school bus. John Weddle, the one who handled a Maya case, handled that case as well, and he got justice for the little white boy.
Well, we need to get that info. Of course, you're going to get justice. See, sister, I was mentioning a one Professor Casson, and in the South they had something called lynched on general principle, and they do that for this purpose. It says this conviction that the black man must now and then be intimidated in order to keep him from getting or forgetting the bounds which Southern traditions have set for him is firmly rooted in the consciousness of many Southern people. So unquestioned is this philosophy that at times lynchings are planned and carried through, not under the fierce compulsion of mob hysteria, but by men who have calmly resigned themselves to the performance of a painful duty, which, according to their lights, is necessary for the good of society. So, in other words, Mr. Casson says Southern tradition is white people now and then feel the need in order to maintain the social structure, meaning they maintain white supremacy. Every now and then they got to hang a black person or do something so wicked to them that it instills fear in us and keep us under their control. Well, they better start fearing now, because as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called for destruction in Mississippi in 1993 when they hung Andre Jones and covered it up. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I'm going to say this to you, sister, and I ask you to go and listen to him. Because as a student and helper of his, and history is clear, especially scriptural history, God is unpleased with a nation. One of the weapons he uses to whip it is weather. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been saying to us for years, watch the weather. Why? Because when a nation's evil deeds outweigh their goods, God seizes that nation with distress and affliction that they may humble themselves, and the means by which he does that, one of which is weather calamity. And this recent hurricane, if you look at the path of it, look at where it hit, black people, right in the Carolinas, right in the deep delta. And it's about 3 more revving up in the Atlantic or in the Gulf, ready to head that way. Because God is not mocked. I'm going to leave that right there for right now. But I ask you, go and listen to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has had to say about watching the weather. It's funny to me that we can believe that God did for people in days gone by what he did for them when they were oppressed, but we have been the most oppressed of any people in the annals of the last 6,000 years of history. But God has somehow forgot about our sojourn and our plight. And, you know, the geometry don't work for black people. Side angle side of triangle A is equal to side angle side of triangle B. They're supposed to be congruent. Well, somehow some of us just don't see it that way. But time will tell. So, sister, forgive me, but your story has got me impassioned. What are your plans going forward, armed with the information that you have now, that you didn't have at the time?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, go ahead. Please cut me off, because I can't be a little wordy.
Oh, no. You are perfectly fine. And I do apologize. My plan is to bring awareness. And my plan, people don't speak about it, but I was told that October is almost school bus safety month.
Mm-hmm.
How ironic is that?
Mm-hmm.
My plan is to continue to fight for Amyia. There's a lot of people who was at this scene. We had about 4 different counties, 4 different departments at this scene. When we go back and we trace and we talk to some of the officers who returned our phone calls, Joel Spellings, if you see Chief Joel Spellings, you see his name on the paperwork.
Yes.
And you also see Chief Patterson on the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
Chief Patterson stated out of his own mouth that he did not talk to anybody. He didn't interview any witnesses. He was just there for moral support because they were closer to the scene than the people that actually came. Well, if you go back and if you look at those documents, you will see where witnesses called their names and said they was interviewed by these people.
Right.
So my job, I believe I was sent here to be a voice, as I said, to the voiceless.
Mm-hmm.
I plan to continue to fight for Amyia. I don't know if I'm gonna have to be the one that write it out myself and submit it myself. I'm about to that point because I can't find anyone who's willing to say, regardless if I lose or not, I'm gonna do it. A couple lawyers that we know, or a couple we've talked to, they have a lot of things going on right now. And I've been waiting for this for 8 years. So I'm kind of ready to go ahead and close this chapter and so she can rest in peace.
Yes.
And so people will know to stop passing school bus, because if you go back and you look, there's been several children that has been hit getting on and off a school bus, and almost all of them have gotten justice, especially the white ones. I have to be honest. But the black ones, they're going through a lot. The families is going through a lot. So I just want justice for my daughter, and I want people to pay a price. They need to pay a fine. They need to go to jail when you pass a school bus. The lights are flashing. It's there for a reason. And until we hold people accountable, which I told this to John Weddle before I walked out of the last meeting that I had with him. Oh, so you are aware that it did go to grand jury twice, and they know True Bill did twice.
No, I wasn't aware. I knew it went once. I wasn't aware that it went twice.
They snuck and did it the second time without my consent. Well, without even telling us, because they didn't want us to come to the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to. Hopefully, my goal though is to pass a law, Amyia's law, to where the district attorney has to present it as a crime. He does not get to come up with his own law. So we want to hold the district attorneys more accountable for what they do. We need to hold people more accountable so we can end killing of children for no apparent reason. This Karen Carpenter was texting on her phone. I think I shared with you.
Yes, I have that.
The moment that, so she started texting on her way home.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see where she pauses, and the young lady asks her, "Is she okay?" And she say no.
Yeah.
So she was texting in between that time from the moment of impact. She was texting on the phone. I thought it was a crime.
It was a crime. That is a crime.
She wasn't on the phone.
That's criminally negligent homicide. There is a law, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know whether it was on the books then. You have to give due care and attention to driving. You get a traffic ticket for failure to maintain safe lookout and failure to devote full attention to the task of driving. There are traffic citations that exist for that. I know in Tennessee. I mean, I do it for a living. So if it's proven that she was texting while driving and the local authorities had that information in their possession and did not, come back with no true bill for indictment, then that's a gross miscarriage of justice. And I think that's something that you can use as a weapon against that little fiefdom down there, because this is what our people endure, and to those clergymen and religious folk that run and hide. There's a scripture that says the fearful and the cowardly will have their part which burn in the lake, that have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone. God hates a coward, and don't nobody got no death wish, and ain't nobody trying to be beat our chest in it. But this kind of stuff, man, you just let it happen to you. And we're supposed to just live with this.
Yeah, that's what they told me.
You're supposed to just live with it,
that's what they told me. And the DA told us, and I have proof of this. I have live proof of this, that he did not present this as a crime. He said he walked in and showed them so he walked in and handed them the paperwork, and he walked out and he let them make up their own mind. But he did let them know that they needed to prove that she intended to kill Amyia.
And it wasn't a matter of proving intent. It was a matter of proving that she was negligent in the task of driving a vehicle. And this kind of mentality, and I was telling you earlier about the young brother Deontay Farrow who got killed by West Memphis police. I listened as the then police chief Bob Potter, during an interview on Action News 5, opened his wicked mouth and say that he's dead. That's just the end of it. You need to get over it. And I thought to myself, how callous and wicked-hearted can that be? That you tell a grieving mother she just need to get over it. But tragedy struck his family. Tragedy struck his son and I think his nephew, because his son was a West Memphis police. He was killed in the line of duty by a sovereign citizen, some guy named Kane, and they'd stopped the man. And this is not to say, you don't mock no one's death. As we started with the axiom of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, when you see men fall, don't laugh, learn. Well, what are we to learn when we are cold and callous towards the life of anyone, black or white, rich or poor, your enemy or your friend? Death has to touch all of us. So you don't wish the evil accident of time on anybody prematurely. But what we should learn from this is the same thing that we dish out will ultimately come back to visit us in some form of fashion, So, sister, those who have wronged you, they call it karma. No, it's the law of reciprocity. It's what Jesus called, if you sow the wind, you will reap the whirlwind. So, sister, rest assured, if you never get justice at the hands of this judicial system and the jurisprudence of that county there and people that are held with the responsibility of giving and doing what is right, they don't have to. There's a God, sister, that's on scene today, and he's giving justice big time, because as I understand it, many of those towns that hurricane went through were some sundown towns, some of them. Mm-hmm. Some of them, they said word that turned out not to be. But I do think it's interesting, the area that the hurricane hit and the number of people that are missing is very, very interesting. So, dear sister, there's a lot more to do, but we're at the end of tonight's broadcast. Actually, I went a little bit on. I wanted you to get as much out, but I want to read something to the audience concerning the assault, aggravated injuring a child who is boarding or exiting a school bus. They actually have a statute in Mississippi for it. This statute is 97-3-7, paragraph 2A, number 3, triple I. And it says, did feloniously cause injury to a child who was in the process of boarding or exiting a school bus in the course of a violation of section 63-3-615 by doing the following: upon meeting or overtaking a school bus, clearly marked as such on its front and rear with letters at least 4 inches in height, that was stopped on the road for the purpose of receiving or discharging school children, willfully, intentionally, and unlawfully, while driving upon said street, failed to stop at least 10 feet from the school bus before reaching the school bus when there was in operation on the school bus the flashing red lights provided by Mississippi Code section 63-7-23. So the law is clear. So what he did was he picked out one word: intentionally. Mm-hmm. Willfully, intentionally, and unlawfully while driving upon. Mm-hmm. And there's a number 2 to it as well. And the maximum penalty is 1 year in county jail or 20 years with a $10,000 fine. The woman didn't even get a traffic ticket for failure to maintain proper control of her vehicle. She didn't even get a ticket for that because clearly she lost control of the vehicle. Mm-hmm. So, dear sister, thank you so very much. And I applaud your courage. I applaud your steadfastness. I applaud your determination. Sister, my prayers are with you that God will give you the strength to see this through. I will keep my word and make what contacts that I can to hopefully get your story printed and bring more attention to it. And many like it. That's happening in those areas, your Pontotoc, your Tate counties, and all of these, Lee County, and all of these little small municipalities, particularly in Mississippi. So at this time, any closing remarks you would like to leave us with before we leave there tonight?
I just want everybody, just be careful. Just watch out for the children. We all be in a hurry sometimes, but what I take away from it it could have been any one of us. And I'm really realistic about that. It could have been me. It could have been you. Everybody drop their phone sometime. Everybody sometimes drive with their eyes closed, like they don't know how to drive. But just take the time and slow down. Leave home early. Don't pass stop school buses. And just protect the children, because the school bus is not the safest place. It's not. I don't feel it. My 11-year-old, he does not drive he does not ride a school bus at all. He's taken to school and he's in after school programs, because I'm scared that he's going to get hit on the way home. My 18-year-old, he will ride a school bus. He don't want to be picked up, even though he saw it. I'm very proud of him. It took a lot for him to get to where he is now, and I am so grateful that we worked with him, we stayed with him, we was patient with him, and so he's doing good. So everybody, he's doing good. But just slow down for these children. It's not that serious. Going around might take a life. Slowing down and stopping may save yours.
Yes, ma'am. Well, dear sister, we're at the end of the broadcast. Once again, thank you so very, very much. Again, I applaud you. And brothers and sisters, thank you all for tuning in to the 10K Fearless Tri-State Podcast. Please be reminded, brothers and sisters, those of you that are in Holly Springs in Marshall County, we are asking you to subscribe to the Final Call newspaper. Give us a call at 662-252-8999, or go to Final Call Digital and subscribe digitally, where you can download the Final Call newspaper to your desktop. You can also go into the archives and search back to about 2015 for any issue that you would like to have an electronic copy of. Give us an email at dremuhammad1@gmail.com to be a part of 10K Fearless Tri-State family. You can give us an email at Dre, DREMUHAMMAD, 1 at gmail.com. You can also drop us a line at Post Office Box 517, Holly Springs, Mississippi 38635. We have that Supreme Bean Pie available for you at 165 North Memphis Street for a small donation. We also have those 2-pound bags of whiting fillet fish. Y'all know y'all eat fish every Friday night. Come by 165 North Memphis Street, right there in Holly Springs, Mississippi. God willing, we'll be back next week at the same time at 7 o'clock. I'm not going to tell you who the guest is going to be, because I got about 3 options. I got 3 people in the funnel that are asking to come on to the program, and we're going to get them in good order. But brothers and sisters, we want you to always remember that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said to us, quote, "No one can attempt to help our people do anything productive and constructive without feeling personal hurt, pain, loss, being evil spoken of, falsely accused, sometimes beaten, sent to prison, or even put to death. This is the path of Jesus. This is the path of Muhammad. And this is the path of every sincere person who wants to see his or her people delivered from our present condition." And brothers and sisters, as we part ways, always, always remember that self-improvement is the basis for community development. We leave you as we came before you with the greeting words of peace, of Assalamu alaikum, or peace be unto you.
Understand the time and what must be done.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. This is it. 10K fearless on the move. This is it. Sip.
Gotta make a move and take control. Have something we can call our own. So shine your light, help the people see that now is the time for us to be free. And if you waiting on the pie in the sky, you better wake up fast. They told you a lie, cause big fields await the wide awake. Elijah's got the master.
10,000 fearless on the move. 10K fearless. This is it. 10K fearless on the move. This is it. Sip. Injustice, we've had enough. All of our divisions, we're breaking up. Destiny has been calling us. The spirit of the Most High is guiding
is now. What you waiting on? Quit shooting your brothers. Put your gun down. Come on. They got a cage waiting for you if you keep that up. Early graves coming to you. From that, can't raise you up. Now, Sister Ida B and Fannie Lou, check them out and you'll know what to do. But if you really want your enemy to be alarmed, read the final call. Follow Farrakhan.
10,000 fearless on the move. MK fearless. This is it. MK fearless.